Hello everyone, and welcome to Unlocking the Secrets of the IWB, the Interactive Whiteboard. My name is Elena Acker, and I'll be your trainer for this webinar. And I just wanted everyone to know that the things I'm going over today were based on teacher requests. So those of you who were around in July of 2014 will remember that I sent out an email, actually I believe it was in June, asking what you wanted to know, what you wanted to be able to do with the interactive whiteboards. So I compiled the requests that I received and I created this based on those requests. So please pay attention. Anything that I do or say from this point on could be on the quiz that you're going to take at the end of the webinar. So I will start by opening up the Starboard software. And I want to draw your attention to the little toolbar on the side here. It basically functions kind of the same way as the menu bars up at the top, but it's just in a pretty convenient place. You can collapse it or bring it back up. And if it's in your way, you can also move it. So by pressing down on your left mouse key and just dragging it around, and then as soon as you lift up, that's where it will stay. I also wanted to show you this pen that has the circle and the triangle next to it. That's the IntelliPen, and it's very useful for a lot of the things I'm going to go over today. So one of the things people wanted to know is how to have two people write on the board at the same time. So you're going to go to Tools and then Multi-Pen. And now it would work for two people to write on the board at the same time. When I tried it before, it wasn't working. I think it might be because of the screen recorder that I'm using for this. So I'm not going to demonstrate the writing, but trust me, if you do this and do this, then if your board is working properly, you can have two people write on the board at the same time. So it works really well if you want to do board races or Pictionary or anything like that on Teams. You can do that with the multi-pen function. Another thing that's interesting is you can actually turn what you've written into text. So that's going to look a little bit like this. You do kind of have to be careful with this because, as you notice, the font size that the board chooses for it is usually pretty big, and you don't always have control over where the words go or whether they're the same size. Like, I felt like I wrote text and I'm writing at about the same size, but the board didn't think so. So you just want to be careful about that. All right. Another way that you can write and turn your writing into text is this way. Which I think tends to work a little bit better. And you can wait to do it until you're finished writing whatever it is you're writing. You could cover even the entire board with writing, and then select that text there. You can also do a Google search of something you've written. It could be in text or not. So maybe I just want some information about I'm writing, or maybe I want some images. So there's a fun image of that cute little writer's mug. Maybe I want to take that image and put it on my whiteboard. Well, I can pretty much just click and drag it if I want to. I could also left click, copy image, and Control V. Oops, if I want to do that. And then I could click on it, move it to where I want. If I don't want it, if I don't want it anymore, I can select my eraser. And this down here is an image eraser. This is an image, so it won't erase with the normal eraser. But if you select the image eraser, then you can get rid of it. So that can be pretty cool. Also, a cool thing that you can do with your text is split it up. So now these two words are separate. So if I wanted my students to take these three parts and turn them into a sentence, I could have them come up here and move this and this and this. Or I could take my blue pen and draw a box. Ooh, and the IntelliPen makes it look nice. Then I could write nouns next to my box. Turn that into text so it looks nice. And then I could say, hey students, put the nouns in the box. And they'd be like, oh. Oops. Let's see. That's from my old image. I'd be like, oh, that's a noun. Text is a noun. We could put that in the box. And the same type of thing works if you wanted to take some text from another source. So I'm going to go back to the web. So I could take this text, copy that, paste it onto my board, and then I can split the text into all its words. You can also split it by line. And I could, move these parts. I could scramble it up if I wanted to have my students put it into the correct order. I could do whatever I please with it. And another thing that's cool that I can do is if I download the Starboard software, I can actually set up my whiteboard in advance. You could do this in a classroom. But so here's my Starboard that I've set up in advance, and I could have my students do a matching game. So for example, some of you had asked how to use a timer. Where do I find the timer on the board? How do I put it up there? And some people wanted to know how to open a PowerPoint so that you can write on it. So I'll show you those two things. And just before that, to let you know, the way that I set up this whiteboard was simply to download the Starboard software, which I'll show you how to do at the end. And then I got the images that I wanted and just copied those onto the board. I typed my words onto the board. So it's very, very simple. But back to the timer. So this is where you'll find the timer. It's actually a stopwatch. That's what it's called. And there are a few different ways that you can change the amount of time. One is to use these arrows. And you may notice while I'm doing the arrows, the hands of the clock are moving. So you can also just move the hands of the clock to make it work that way. And then finally, the easiest way probably is just to type what you want. So you type it in, then you just press play. And then it gives you that ding when it's over. So that can be really nice for your students if they're taking an exam, or if you're having them do any kind of race or any kind of timed activity. It just gives them a reference point. Then they know exactly how much time they have left before they need to finish it. And now let's talk about how to open a PowerPoint. So here's my desktop. I've got my PowerPoint on the desktop. You could open it directly from your flash drive or from your email. I like to just drag it to the desktop or copy it to the desktop first. Then I can put my flash drive away. But this is how I would open my PowerPoint. Oh, where's my desktop? Well, this is a strange conundrum. So, not finding my desktop. This probably will not happen to you. It's just that I'm using the board not as a teacher, but as an admin. So instead we'll go in here, we'll open it from my flash drive. No big deal. So here it is. So this is a PowerPoint presentation. Right now it's open so that I can, oopsies. So that I can write on it. So that's also not working, I'm guessing because of the screen recorder that I'm using. So you'll just kind of have to take my word for it that if you have the Starboard software open and you just go to open and you open up your PowerPoint, once it opens, you'll be able to write on it. Which I sadly can't do right now. And the same thing can be done with a PDF or a Word document. So if you have a PDF that you want to open and write on it, that works really well. If you have a Word document, it'll work as well. Just keep in mind, Word documents tend to show up really small on the PowerPoint. So make sure that you use a big font. Use like an 18 or above font. Otherwise, it may be difficult for the students to read what's on your Word document. And one of the things that's cool about opening these so that you can write on the board or on the PowerPoint presentation is the writing will stay. So if I were to write something right now, I can write on it. If I went forward to the next slide and I went back, my writing would still be here, which is really cool. Just keep in mind that you can't edit the PowerPoint while you've got it open in the Starboard software. So if you open it as a regular PowerPoint, you can't write on it, but you can change it if you want to like make the pictures in it bigger or something like that. You can do that. If you open it in Starboard, you can't modify it. Like you can't change what you've typed there. You can't change the animations or anything like that. But you can write on it, and the writing will stay unless you erase the writing. So a couple of other things that I wanted to show you. Just here's a link where you can download the Starboard software. Keep in mind, it is a really big file, so it'll take up a lot of space and it'll take a long time to download. But if you really want to set up your board in advance, put some images up there, have it be really interactive, because with PowerPoint, there's only so much you can do. But if you set up your board in Starboard, you can have pictures and words there, and you can actually move them around. This is something that you might want to try. So go to the link, enter the required information, but you can enter really anything. It'll give you the download no matter what. So you can put like Snidely Whiplash as the name and your mom as the serial number, or just a series of random numbers, and it will give you the download. At the link at the bottom of the screen, there are also some training videos you can watch. So if you want to watch videos about how to do some of these things that I have talked about, you can go ahead and watch those there. Also, if you email me, Elena Acker, ALENAACKER, at ecenglish.com, I'd be happy to send you PDF training materials that we received when we first got the IWBs at EC New York. So if you'd like those, just ask me. I'd be happy to send them along to you. If I want to switch between my PowerPoint and the whiteboard, there are a couple of ways that you can do it, but the way that I am most comfortable with personally is one of the numbers on the sides of the board. So you can't see those on my screen because they're not on the screen, but it's on both the left and the right side of your board. It is the 6th button down. And it has like it looks like 3 computer windows. One says ABC, the other looks like a graph, the other looks like maybe text with an image. But it's like 3 windows in front of each other. So you touch that button, and normally a little thing will come up that will allow you to switch between the screens. Unfortunately, it's not working for me right now. Again, I think it might be because of the screen recorder that I'm using, which has some limitations. So sorry about that. You could always escape your PowerPoint presentation like I just did and come back to Starboard. So here we are back in Starboard. We'll do a new page. I can always go back to my old page too. Let's say I didn't want the students to see this stuff. I could put up a screen block. So this is going to block the screen. Keep in mind that I cannot write on the screen or type on the screen while this is up here, but I can click it with the mouse or touch it with my hand and just drag down as I go through the lesson. And if I want to get rid of it, you can just right click and exit. So that should work pretty well. All right, and finally, the last thing, somebody was like, how do I put a dinosaur on the board and make it breathe fire? Well, there's some fun stuff in our gallery. So let's see if we can find a dinosaur here. The animals. Ooh, prehistoric life. But wait, which dinosaur do I want? This one looks kind of ferocious. So I'll put him out there. And sadly, I didn't find any fire in the gallery, so we're just gonna have to draw the fire. Ooh, we're in IntelliPen, so that's making the fire like very orderly. I want my fire to be less orderly, so I'm gonna quit IntelliPen. Whee! And there we go. There's my dinosaur breathing fire. And actually, I lied. One more thing. I can, if I type something, there are a couple of ways that I can change the text. So if I just want it to look a little bit bigger in IntelliPen, I can do this. And then if I touch it with my 2 fingers, again, the screen recorder is not letting me do it. But if you touch it with 2 fingers kind of in a diagonal line on both hands, so like my first and second finger on my right hand and my left hand, if I touch the screen near my sentence or my, I guess my fragment or my claws here and pull them apart. You can kind of zoom in. But another way is just to look at properties. And I'll stick with the Arial font, but I want it bigger, so I'll make it like 20. And I want it bold, because my dinosaur is obviously bold. So hopefully that helps you understand some of these cool things that we can do with our interactive whiteboards. Sorry that the screen recorder wouldn't let me demonstrate some of the things that I wanted to show you, but hopefully you've still got a decent overview of what can be done. And if you have more questions, please feel free to ask. Have a great day. Thanks for watching, and go on and do your quiz now.